Hiçbir teyyare, hiçbir gemi insanı özünü özündən uzaqlaşdırabilməz. Lap dünyanın o başına geçsən də, öz keçmişindən ayrıla bilməzsən. Hərdən mənə elə gəlir ki, aradan 100 il keçib. Hərdən də elə bilirəm ki, hər şey dünən olub. Lap dünən.
Sürme çektim gözüme, düştüm çölün düzüne. Dost gezirem özüme, dost gel hardasan, tez gel hardasan. Tıp tıp tıp tıp, dost gel hardasan, tez gel hardasan. Tıp tıp tıp tıp.
Hello everyone, welcome to the new episode of Tix Tix Xanimlar.
Hi everyone.
Today we decided to watch Tahmina and Zaur, and it's personally my most favorite Azerbaijani movie. And we decided to make an analysis on Tahmina and how the Azerbaijani society, look at women, how do they look at relationships.
So, Tahmina and Zaur, I think the movie basically describes the situation quite well. I didn't expect the movie for such an old movie, but like the 90s movie, to be so progressive at the time. I think the topic that is shown in the movie is applicable to this day.
I agree. And spoilers ahead, if you never watched Tahmina and Zaur, we will suggest you to watch it first and then come back here and see the analysis we have made on it.
By the way, it's available on YouTube for anyone wondering, so you don't have to search for too much.
Yeah, and if we have any foreigners listening to it, English subtitles as well. It's just on YouTube.
Yep. So what I want to say about the opening scene, it was like quite shocking to me. Like as soon as the movie starts, the opening scene is very intimate, and it's not like it's physical intimacy, it's more emotionally intimate, but it looks like it's supposed to be physically intimate as well. Anyway, and it throws you, basically the first scene, the opening scene, throws you into the movie immediately. And then it's just a massive contrast when the first scene is basically him seeing in the Zaur seeing Tahmina in the dream, in a very intimate setting, and as soon as he wakes up, there is Azan playing. So I just thought it was like it was a massive contrast, and I really appreciated it, to be honest.
I think it was sort of cool to see, how they made the connection, because I haven't watched Azerbaijani new movies in a while, but I do not think we have the same quality of movies anymore.
Unloaded guns in movies that make no sense and have no point of existing. But everything in the movie Tahmina, it had, I don't know, it was either for accentuating a scene or actually would be like a plot device later.
And the movie was made in 1993. It's quite an old movie. Then it's like 30 years old movie.
Yeah,
and
almost
the sad
30.
part is that the movie that was made 30 years ago still applies to the Azerbaijani society today, which shows that there's no progress made.
Yeah, this is kind of a sad part. The thing is, I don't know whether we can talk for the entirety of Azerbaijani society, just like they couldn't talk about the entirety in the 90s when the movie came out. But as a general, like as the majority, I would say the majority, yes, did not progress at all. It seems like, because all of this still applies, like the same
Mentality.
talks. Yes, exactly. This specific thing, it's almost the entirely the same.
I remember a couple of months ago on Twitter, someone found this old video of the 90s, people just walking around in Baku, and I remember people were like, "Oh, look how they're dressed," because man. Sorry for that. They might make a comment if you wear shorts. They will be like, "Ah, milletin buradan nasıl bacısı var." But this is the worst scenario, and women would be like, in tank tops, shorts, mini dresses, mini skirts, and people were wondering, where is the how did people dress like this 30 years ago, and now, like, I remember I was in Baku in 2015 walking in gym leggings in Park Boulevard, and people would look at me and make a comment, be like, "Buna bak." Like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense anymore. But obviously, it doesn't represent like the video that people found 30 years ago that they get nostalgic about, and like Tahmin.
Yeah.
Well, people get nostalgic about it, but it was the worst period probably of Azerbaijani history. We were in war, and we
Yeah.
a new independent state that I think many people forget about. And I don't think people would really care what the other one is wearing. People mostly care about görəsən işte Qarabağda vəziyyət, like how is the situation in Karabakh and so on.
Mm-hmm. So basically, we were quite progressive in terms of at least clothing back before the USSR collapse, even a bit after USSR collapsed. But then we did regress, and yes, in 2015, this, like, it was still not great. Some people still get comments. Not some people, I would say, like quite a lot of people still get comments on the street. But as we discussed in our episode with Nika, it's getting better and better with the younger generation, basically, and all hope is just for the younger generation. But yeah, the contrast in I remember that video that you're talking about. It went around on Twitter. And what I noticed, that every time there is like a nostalgia of one generation towards another time that they didn't live in, um, it was usually because they didn't live in it. They just see these nice pictures and videos, and they romanticize the time without like actually thinking through what kind of a time it was. The war, the republic that just came to be independent in like almost 100 years. Nobody was really thinking about that.
Nostalgia is a dirty little liar that makes everything
Yeah.
better than it was, to be honest. Um,
I
so
cannot
this is
imagine personally someone doing a movie like Tahmina and Zaur today. I was shocked that it was done in 1993. I'm going to be completely honest, because it looks to be so progressive. It is quite meaningful. It talks about very heavy topics, but in the way that it doesn't condone it, it condemns it. It condemns the mentalitet, and basically what the situation has become, but it just is just a tragic ending for it. But today it seems like nobody's going to do it so blatantly, because people again will not accept, and yes, they will say it's Ayub.
So there's why maybe this seems a bit like, you guys are just not making sense right now because the podcast is on Tahmina, but we have to remember how the situation was in the 90s to make a comment on it, and we have to see how much we progressed, and is it still relevant, because if it's not, there's no point, maybe there's nearly no point on making a comparison of it with today. But it's so sad that Azerbaijani society didn't evolve like maybe 5-10%. It is evolving, maybe the new generation, but we still have, the generation like my mom, my parents, my grandparents, who are still alive, thankfully. But their mentality, and I'm not even sure if how it is with new generation, because everyone speaks like, oh, it is getting better, but that's your surrounding. You have no idea what a child is doing, I don't know, in Nardaran, for example, but like, or just someone who lives in another street than you, who you do not know, because there are still like guys shouting their phone numbers to you in Baku.
Yeah, it's just sad that not only was there no progress, but it seems like nobody learned from this movie. Or maybe there was someone who did learn, but they are in the minority.
Yeah. uh,
Because this movie seems like it is kind of a lesson, but maybe just an example of how mentalitet can like damage someone's life so bad, and multiple lives even. But it seems like nobody took a lesson out of it.
Yeah. After also the movie starts with Zaur being in Istanbul. That's where the Azan is. And he's
Mm-hmm.
in Istanbul. He's having his honeymoon with his new wife, who's not Tahmina. It's his neighbor's daughter, and she is 7 years younger than him.
Yes, Ferengis.
Frengis. And he during the whole time in the movie he is in Istanbul, but he's having memories coming back to him about how the situation happened with Tahmina and about their relationship. And the first flashback he gets is that they're in the beach, and everything looks lovely. Tahmina is a bit she's a bit of a pessimist, but he still looks very romantic. And then they find this dacha, like a summer house, which belongs to his neighbor Spartak, who he gets very jealous of because he's like, how does she know the place? How is this? And you can see already that in Zawor's character, there's extreme jealousy, which majority of Azerbaijani men do have. This extreme jealousy and seeing Tahmina more than as a like, she's my girlfriend, she's my lover, she's the woman that I'm in love with, but as she's my possession and no one can have her except me.
Also, in this first setting, when they are at the beach, we find out that Tahmina is married.
Yeah.
But Maka, do we get like any confirmation that she's still with her husband, not just like married on paper? Because she says something like he asks her whether or not her husband minds that she is with someone else. And do you remember what she replied? I think she said something along the lines that not really.
I don't remember anything like that, but I think their marriage was an open marriage, to be honest.
Okay, so basically there was no
Rumors, you get no
indication.
confirmation on Tahmina's personal life except of Zaur.
Mm-hmm.
And the next scene, they make love in there, and then when he drives her back to her house, she asks him not to leave the car because
Yeah,
people see that he leaves the car. It's just bunlar bir yerde, which means they're together.
yeah.
Which is just like, for example, whenever I'm in the car with someone, I never think about, oh god, he shouldn't open the door to me because people are going to gossip. And she had every right to be scared because there's so much gossips about her.
And those gossips, like she had an every right to be scared because they were like non-stop gossips. We never get confirmation or um, from anyone apart from the people who gossip about her. We don't get confirmation from her, and every single gossip that was going on around seemed like a very stupid and insignificant thing whenever she explained it. But again, the viewer is left to either believe it or not, again, just like Zaur. So basically, I don't know, I feel like people will get different kind of um opinions out of what's happening with those rumors.
And I think that the main characters are Zaur and Tahmina, but I think the other main character is definitely Zaur's mom.
Oh my God, she played a massive role in everything. The thing is, she seems like she really does love her son, but uh, and I mean, almost every parent loves their kid, but her love then closer to the end of the movie started going closer to obsession or possession even.
And
She was very possessive of her son, and she was talking about her son just like he was a possession. She was saying like, when are you giving him back?
be honest, I'm gonna make a comment now. Some people can get angry on this, but it is still like that. Azerbaijani parents still look at their children a bit like that because because I don't think Zohr's mom. When you see it like in, I don't know if someone watched Sopranos, Tony Soprano's mom, you think, oh, she has a personality disorder or something, and then you get a confirmation on. But no, in here she's just a stereotypical Azerbaijani mother who is afraid of her son to marry someone who, in her words, were used before because Tahmina was a married woman when they were having their affair.
So basically, when we the first time we see Zaur's mother, I think it was after, like, he drops her off, right? And then he comes back home to eat.
She's I took a note. She is shown in the movie in the first 15 minutes. So
Okay.
the movie highlights how important she is, and I wrote down what she said to him.
Yeah, so basically, I what I remember was happening. She was like giving him food or something, and she brings up Tahmina to the discussion, and basically, she starts telling Zaur about all the rumors that, or like she starts hinting at the rumors that she's heard about Tahmina, and she also says that Tahmina was like going after Spartak,
Yeah.
the neighbor whose dacha they broke into and basically made love on. And that's when Zaur zones out basically completely, because Tahmina told him that her and Spartak were just friends. But again, it just shows another moment of how any single like word, any single rumor just affected Zaur dramatically. He zoned out completely. His mother was having a full-on conversation after she said that, and he didn't like hear any of it.
Yeah. And like even in his members, you can see him, him just looking at everything from his point of view. Who he works with, and he's an older guy, and then because of this he gets suspicious, and he goes, oh, and she makes a comment on her leaving her job. He goes and asks his boss, why Tahmina left, and the boss was like, oh, she's a troublemaker, she doesn't care who she's with. And then Zaur, at that moment, he realizes that everyone is just speaking behind her back, even her friends, because his boss, her old boss, at the same time, they were friends, as he says. And he's like, oh, no, no, no, I'm not like speaking behind her back. I actually care about her. I pity her. I told this to her face, as if they're trying to like defend their gossips. You know what I mean?
Yes, I remember that moment when he was speaking to his boss basically. The phrase that he said was, you were nice to her in her face, and then he just stands up and leaves, which is, not everyone is going to say that to someone's face. It's quite brave to do something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that he thought that the boss basically thought that it was fine to say that he cares about her after bad mouthing the hell out of her, like he was proper slandering her. And after that, he's like, no, I just pity her. I actually like her. Like, I'm not bad mouthing her. It To this day, people will chat shit, and then in the end, they'll be like, "Ama Allah kömeği olsun da." All the best. It like saying this shit and then saying something nice at the end doesn't excuse all the stuff you said before.
Like I live in Scotland for 4 years now. I never heard that insane gossips in here. Like no one cares about your personal life. You do you. Just don't be involved in my business. And I remember we spoke about this a bit with Nika as well. Like everyone's in everyone's business.
Yeah, and sometimes it kind of can be nice when people care, but when people decide that your business is their business, it's like too much, and the line is very thin between those two.
Yeah. And then
Uh,
yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was trying to find like little, I don't know, Easter eggs or like meanings behind the stuff that was around, but basically I noticed that in this conversation with his boss, in the background he had I think he had Mirza Al-Akbar Sabir.
Yeah,
Like there was a picture.
as well, yeah.
So I was wondering like why specifically him? And he was like a satirical poet. And he was like rejecting, I don't know, the classical or well-trodden ways in poetry. At least the Wikipedia page says well-trodden ways in poetry. So he was like a non-conformist. I don't know if I'm looking like too deep into it, but I would like to see if anyone has a different, anyone like who's listening, or you, Maka, if anyone has an opinion on that. I was just
I was thinking about the same
curious.
thing, because they like usually in Tahmina and Zaur, because it's Zaur's memory, the background will be a bit blurry and
Yeah.
it wouldn't be so neat. And but in here like the background was so neat. You could clearly see who was in the picture, and especially with his memories with Tahmin, it's like a dream, like it's never happened. And
Yeah, that's actually a nice point. I just realized that that was one of the few backgrounds that was actually clear.
then he goes home. Also, I noticed like I know this is based more on Tahmina and on the society, but do you remember the guy in the office who would be like, "Man, and Lord," like he just wanted to play nards with
Yes, yes, yes.
rejects him, and everyone's like, "Sorry, die next time."
Yeah.
Which I think comments about, how Azerbaijanis, I will do this as well. We will be like, oh, but in our country, we care about old people. We spend time with them because the at least from the scene, the guy who kept asking for it seemed a bit like older, like a die or like a grandpa basically. But everyone would reject him, and he would be so sad, and he would go and play nards on his own, which made me
I was hoping that in the end, closer to the end of the movie, maybe he will finally start playing with him. But I was so sad that he just like went by and he saw him playing alone and left.
yep.
And he just left. I don't know like how many I feel like there can be like a lot of meanings taken out of it. It depends how people see it. What you brought up is a very good example. It's like people care about mentalität, etc., but in certain cases only. Like somewhere it applies, somewhere it doesn't, depending on how convenient it is for the person, basically.
Exactly. And and then like the thing is, after they show that, he goes back to his home, if I remember correctly, and it's his birthday, and his dad gives him this very expensive watch for that time.
Seiko, yeah.
That, as we said, it's a new independent state. People had to basically line up for bread because there
Mm.
was a shortage on everything, and because there was a war going on at the same time. And his dad brings up this expensive watch to him, which his parents think that will mean so much, to him. But and then we saw what he did with the watch. But
Yeah.
go on further, and
So basically, okay, do you want to say it right now, or do you want to get to that scene and then say what he did with the watch?
you choose, up to you.
Okay, let's leave it for the scene when we get there.
And then and it's not Zaur being materialistic, but his parents are definitely in that sort of vibe. Like, here, like, I bought you basically. Like, bak sana saat almışım. Look, I got you a watch.
They are very like not only materialistic but possessive in general. There are so many let's say not mental health issues, but things related to mental health that we can like rip apart in each character probably in the movie.
Yeah.
There is a lot. His parents are like narcissists and extremely possessive. Zaur seems like I don't know, he's acting weird. For example, he gets very jealous very easily, but then whatever Tahmina says, he doesn't try, in the beginning at least, he doesn't try to clarify it or anything. As soon as he hears something from her, like when she dismantles the rumor, for example, he believes her instantly and he's fine like a second later. It seems like he's obsessed with her, and he does, like in the middle of the movie he says it outright that he's obsessed with her, like not romantic kind of way upset. He's actually obsessed because like he craves her presence and her attention nonstop. It doesn't seem healthy.
Yeah, I just think sometimes in Azerbaijan, because everything applies to someone that I know, or I know that someone that you know probably as well, but it's just like
Yeah.
such a, a summary on how the Azerbaijani society works a bit. Also, and I remember it was his birthday, and they're like having this dinner table, and the TV is on. The TV, there's Tahmina presenting the news, obviously. And then, she says, "Happy birthday to Zaur." And he sees it, he's like, okay, I have to go after her. This was like a sign. But
Hmm.
his mother is just like there in the background, like a Disney villain or something, and just watching him.
Or that at the same time while that dinner scene is happening, basically before his mother comes back and sees Tahmina on the TV, his mom and the girls Firangiz, who uh, basically his mother, Zaur's mother, is trying to get Zaur together with Firangiz, because if you get a girl like Firangiz, quote, you will never have to walk with your head down. You will always be able to walk with your head up high. Basically, like there is no shame. You will always have your honor with a girl like that because nobody's going to talk about her. Anyway, she was trying to get Zaur together with Ferengis, but Zaur was against it at the time. Then Zaur's mother goes to the kitchen with Ferengis's mother. And do you remember their conversation or not?
Remember her praising her praising her son.
They weren't, yeah, they were praising their kids to each other like it was some kind of a trading deal. I felt like I was on a sales pitch.
That's how
It
it is.
was so ridiculous. It was so bad. And they were like talking about Fira like she's a saint, which is great. I mean, good for her. But at the same time, they feel like they have to put down all the other girls that are not Fira and that might be like somehow different from her. For example, they were discussing how Fira and her mother went to like shopping, and her mother was buying something and she told Fira to pick something out as well, and she was like, no, no, no, thank you, meaning that Fira basically doesn't require much. Let's say she's not going to be too expensive for Zaur. That's what the mother wants to say directly, and but it's still applicable to today. That's the sad part. Like this entire conversation.
By the way, she and Zoe were not involved romantically before. They're just neighbors.
Yeah,
They know each other. It's called what's it called? It's called
arranged marriage.
arranged marriage, and she's 7 years younger than him. And the reason why his mother is going after someone younger than him, because in the mentality they think that the man should be older, and if the man is older and more mature, he can basically give her an education on how to be a
To
wife, on
shape someone as much as they want to.
yeah, exactly.
And because like the person hasn't gone through their own experiences yet. And another reason why they seek someone so young is because they don't have a history yet,
Yeah, exactly.
which is just sad and pathetic, to be honest.
So that all of this applies today.
Maka, if you
Yeah.
don't mind, one thing I forgot to mention
Mhm.
before about Tahmina, you said like she seems quite sad. You mentioned that all the time, but not only does she seem sad and like maybe even depressed, but she's constantly talking about the end and the end of anything, the end of their relationship, the end of their life, of her life in general. So she's like constantly, it seems like she's constantly thinking about the end, and maybe she's depressed, I have no idea, but
I think
she
she's a
was quite
pessimist.
pessimistic throughout the movie.
I think she's definitely a pessimist, like maybe a nihilist or something.
You know the stereotype of a manic pixie girl in movies?
Yeah, she's definitely that.
Yeah, she was such a manic pixie girl. But the thing is, like, currently the manic pixie girls in movies are like quite annoying and not exciting at all. Let's say she was, maybe is just nostalgia speaking in me, but because she was like portrayed in the style of a 90s movie, and the conversations are already kind of manic pixie, but she was done, I think, quite well. But she was very manic pixie girl type.
Yeah.
She was so mysterious and so weird, and just the conversations were either very depressive or very manically happy.
Before we go about their trip to Moscow, I want to speak about a bit more about Tahmina, her her character and everything. We know she's an orphan,
Yep.
which means that she has no family, which again goes back to mentalitat being a yetim dede bilmir aile nerede. Like she's an orphan, she doesn't know what family is, and at the same time, them giving her the just the trait of the character not being able to have children.
Yeah.
I think that was a message definitely about her. And her neighbor, Medina, being a woman who has a child and she's not married. That's like
Yeah.
the biggest taboo in Azerbaijan.
uh there was a lot of taboos packed into one movie, basically. The thing is, like, even about the parents, so I don't know if what it is like, I mean, outside of Azerbaijan about this, but for example, here, whenever someone is about to marry someone, always the topic of the family comes up. Like I can always hear, oh, she's from such a good family, he's from such a great family. I don't know, the family of intellectuals, or the military family, their family is so good. Like it's not like you are marrying a person, you are marrying a family. And whenever like someone chooses someone for a relationship, family always comes up, and people judge the person by their family quite often.
Exactly. And family wise, they just made her with no family. Like they didn't give her a bad background or a good background. They just
They
made her
just give none.
yeah, no background. And again, it's like you don't know who Tahmina really is because everything is like a dream that Zaur had.
Yeah, like a massive flashback kind of dream. So all we get is just his perspective mostly, but not directly.
Yeah.
Kind of. We only get like his memories with her mostly.
And then yeah, I don't think I have anything more to add on Tahmina because again, we did not know much about her. Like
Yeah, it's only like how Zaud perceives her, at least.
and like
That's what we see.
maybe she wasn't so negative. Maybe that's just how Zoe saw her.
That's another thing I was thinking about. Like, what perspective are we getting? Are we getting a third person who was watching Zaur's memories with her, or are we getting exactly Zaur's memories, like just like from the outside? Because if it is, then like we can't trust that opinion either. So again, it's all up to the viewer.
Yeah, and in Moscow, he comes like, and then do you have anything more to say on Tahmina, by the way? Sorry for that.
No, no, I think that's it.
Okay, and then he runs after her to Moscow, and then his mom, obviously, she knows what he's up to, and she know, she calls him. No, like she calls him bad words. Doesn't she doesn't call him on the phone, but she keeps like, she's like, Eclafın kızı also insults her as well. But
Yeah.
the moment when I just said, okay, this is really Azerbaijani, is when she said, "Sana cadu eleyip."
Yeah. And then the thing is, I started laughing at that scene because she was like swearing at him, at her. She was saying a lot of bad stuff. And then she was like, can you please at least take a coat? It's Moscow you're going to. It's not that warm there. Like she gives him a little nice bit of motherly care, and then she continues to bad mouths both of them.
Yeah,
Then as soon as he's about to leave again, she's like, just wait 2 seconds, I'm gonna throw water after you leave.
yeah,
Again, like for his good travels, basically. It seems they show that she cares as a mother, but she's like an awful person at the same time. It it's a good contrast in terms of someone can actually like really care for you and really love you in their own way, but doesn't mean that that way like is good or healthy. So
yeah.
like a bad person can be good. Nobody's like very good or bad. No, it's not black and white in this movie at all.
And she like I was really like I was like just shocked when she said Jado because you don't hear this like in normal movies when you watch it. No one's don't if it's not a horror movie, you won't hear the fact that oh someone did black magic on you. That's why
Yeah,
you're acting like this. She did black magic on you, so you will fall in love with her, like get obsessed with her. And I was like, this is the peak moment of it being Azerbaijani, peak like peak.
I like how like sometimes it is actually like one of the excuses mothers like this have when their son doesn't choose someone who is basically up to the mother standard. The excuse is going to be, it must be Jado. Like this person cannot be nice for my son to actually like them. It must be Jado.
Yeah.
Then after he gets to, oh, Maka, do you have anything
No,
to
no,
add before?
no.
Okay. So basically he gets to the thing is what I got confused with, Tahmina said she was going to Leningrad, and then he told his mother that he's going to Moscow. So did they, and then I think I saw St. Petersburg. Like he in the end was in St. Petersburg, like the places basically that they visited. I think he lied to his mother that he was going to Moscow, just like so it's not Leningrad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
I
was
think that,
Petersburg, yeah. It was Leningrad.
yeah, okay. Just to clarify, like before I go on. So basically he goes to supposedly to Moscow, but he gets to Leningrad and then they go like I don't know, sightseeing, basically. and they go around the city, and there is a moment where Zaur professes his love, basically, officially, finally. And Tahmina, I think, jokingly says that she doesn't like believe him. And he says that he will jump in front of a car for her in a joking manner. At which point it's funny, but then he actually jumps in front of the car.
Yeah, it's no longer funny.
And it's not funny. It's like I was seriously worried. Like, it's supposed to seem, I think, as romantic because, like, oh, look, he did something for her to prove his love. He gets a ticket. Thankfully, he doesn't get injured, but he gets a penalty from an officer for that. But the thing is, just like for people who are going to watch this in the future, this was not meant to be romantic. I think that, my personal opinion again, I think it was supposed to show how, at what kind of lengths Zaur was going for Tahmina.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't care what he's going to do. He's going to do anything for her, which is not healthy.
If my nana watched this, she probably would have agreed with his mom that, oh, yeah, definitely, Jordan. There's no way an person would do that. But I think he was very obsessed. He was very obsessed, and I
Definitely.
think he was in love. He was definitely in love because, I mean, you're having a honeymoon with another woman, and you're thinking about your past lover, who you
Yeah.
by not until then he didn't know what happened to her,
Mm-hmm.
and you could clearly see that Tahmina was in love with him as well. And
Zaur, heç bilirsən bu nə musiqidir?
Yox.
Chopin'in prelüdiyasıdır. Mən olmayanda birdən bu musiqini eşitsən, dərhal hər şey yadına düşəcək. Leningrad. Bu görüşümüz.
Yenə başladı. Biz heç vaxt ayrılmayacaq.
Hə, əlbəttə. Amma bilirsən Zaur, həyatdır. Hər şey ola bilər. Yəqin ki
like that scene really touched my heart at least, and made me go emotional because I think to anyone, who is in love right now or who was in love before or knows the feeling, the fact that you have to accept the reality and it being like this relationship is not gonna last is so sad.
Yeah, it was really touching. It was really pessimistic as well on her side. And it just shows again, like, they're happy in the moment, and they're currently happy. Like, they're doing good memories together. And she just instantly again remembers that this is gonna end. She's like constantly reminding herself, like, this is gonna end. Don't get used to it. This is gonna end. Just remember this.
Yeah.
There was a dinner with Muhtar, which was like a very interesting scene. Muhtar is her new boss, uh, who basically got her the job of the presenter on TV. And while they were sitting with Muhtar, it seems like Zaur is not getting enough of attention because Tahmina and Muhtar are basically doing a toast, and during the toast they're having a conversation and they're having jokes and they're laughing and they're discussing that they're gonna shoot a movie because Tahmina wants to be a movie star, etc. And Zaur is there with just a bitter face because he's not getting enough attention. And again, that's a point towards my thought that he's obsessed because he's craving every second of her attention. And then he gets upset and jealous,
Yeah, and he has to
which,
pay the bill or the watch.
yeah, and he pays the bill with the watch, the watch that his father gave him, which
Yeah.
he didn't really care. I was so shocked, to be honest. Like, I felt, I don't know, I just, like, in that moment I compared as if, for example, my dad gave me a present and I just gave it away to pay the bill of the woman or in my case, of the man I love, for example, and someone else who they were like having funny jokes with. Why would you? I don't know. Maybe I am materialistic as well, but it just shows that he isn't. He really doesn't care. about
But
anything but
yeah,
Tahmina.
yeah, but at the same time, it's a gift from your dad. It has a sentimental value.
Yeah, like I
Like
didn't
it's
get
not
that.
materialistic. Like he just gave it away because he. At the same time, it's not only the love in there. Okay, so what I noticed is that he got jealous of Mukhtar, which according to the gossips, again she's having an affair with. At the same time as she's having an
Yeah.
affair with Zaur, and that somehow she's having an affair at the same time with his neighbor Spartak. But I think he gave the watch away because he didn't have the money and he didn't want to humiliate himself in front of Mukhtar and Tahmina.
Yeah.
He's like, guys, can you pay? Because there's this manly pride in Azerbaijan again in the
Yeah,
society.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's what they were mostly hinting at, and that he was ready to give away the gift that his father got him just so his pride wouldn't go away.
Yeah, that's also a sad reality that is still applicable to today.
Yeah.
Guys feeling like they have to be, I don't know, honorable by constantly having money and like paying for everything. And God forbid someone finds out you don't have enough money.
Yeah.
It's a joke, just in case anyone doesn't know sarcasm.
And I don't remember much after, like much under Moscow slash Leningrad trip.
So basically, okay, let me see what I've got written down. He gets jealous. Then again, what I wrote down is that they constantly start talking about how Takmina starts talking about how the relationship will end. He says they will never break up. And again, he says that like he's obsessed, etc.
After their Leningrad trip, the
Yeah.
like Leningrad trip was
Yes,
sort.
yes. They had a scene. He goes to Takhmina's after basically they both come back from he comes back from Leningrad, I think. Then she comes back. He tries to contact her. He calls her, and she doesn't. She's like, we can't talk for a couple of days, maybe a week. Just give me time. I need to like, I need some time. She doesn't explain anything. She just says, I need some time. We can't talk. Goodbye. He respects the wish, let's say, and he doesn't like contact her for a week, I think. But then his mother says that uh by the way, Tahmina is going after Spartak again.
Yeah.
Like she's going after him again. She got off you, and now she jumped on Spartak again. She only left him alone. She said that Spartak's mother said she only left Spartak alone when she started going out with you. So
Yeah.
like again, we're getting the perspective of two mothers who, as we saw in in the scene where they were discussing Fira, they're like shit, both of them as human beings. Anyway, like trust their opinion or not is someone else's decision. But basically, he gets frustrated that so she's with Spartak, and he drives to her house. He's about to uh, unveil the secret as he thinks. He thinks that she's cheating on him with Spartak. And he comes by, he knocks on the door, she opens the door. He can hear music. So we also don't know who's in the house. So someone's in the house. He goes in, there is already like I
Kanya.
think yeah, Kanyak, there were shots on the table for someone else. And he said he asked her like, are you with someone? And she's like, yeah, with my friend. But the friend was Madina.
Yeah.
And and she in that moment announced that she is getting divorced, which he already heard from his mother, but his mother was insinuating that she was jumping on Spartak. Basically, she was getting a divorce and she wanted to finish getting the divorce before telling him. That's why she didn't contact him these days. But the reason why she asked, she was like hanging out, let's say, with Spartak at the time, was because she needed his help in the divorce, like not to wait the 6 months mandatory period for rethinking the divorce, etc., but basically for signing the divorce papers because he had connections.
Yeah.
And again, the rumor that the mother was trying to push her connection with Spartak like in a relationship kind of way is ruined the moment Tahmina says that. But again, it depends whether you believe it or not.
And
So after talking to Tahmina and basically him Zaur accepting the fact that Spartak and Tahmina aren't kind of in a relationship or having anything, not having a thing, basically, he goes back to his parents, and his parents are trying again to stop whatever is happening between him and Tahmina. And basically, I wrote down one sentence that the father said: "We also have a dream." Like Zaur was saying that he basically being with Tahmin is what he likes and what he wants. To which his dad was like, "We also have a dream. We have a dream that we will have grandkids. We will have a good galin, like a good bride, basically, to the family. That our son will have a normal, good, honorable family." So basically the parents again are very narcissistic, and they're not really thinking about what Zaur wants. They want to push Fira onto him because this is the best choice for them,
yeah.
and the only thing they want is for them to be happy. It doesn't matter what Zaur really thinks about it. And he leaves his parents basically for Tahmina, but then as soon as he does that, we again, there is like a quick cut to the present time where he is with Fira in Istanbul, and Fira is basically calling him because again he zoned out thinking about this moment.
Yeah. And oh my god, sorry.
It was a nice moment. No, I appreciate it. Please keep it in, don't cut it out, please.
I remember that they have like small scenes of where their relationship, that they're having some romantic stuff going on.
Yar gelende toz olmasın, yar gelende toz olmasın. Üçere
Bir qulaq as Zaur. Gör nə qədər sadədir, gözəldir. Küçələrə su səpmişəm. Yar gələndə toz olmasın. Gör necə sevərlərmiş bir vaxtlar Zaur. İndi gör sevgini nəyə döndərmişik. Məsələn sən. Mən keçən küçələrə su səpərsən ki toz olmasın.
Bakıda bu mümkün deyil. Küçənin bu başını su səpənəcən, Xəzir o biri başını təzədən tozla doldurar.
Ruhun yoxdur sənin.
So anyway, they have these beautiful, amazing, sweet moments that are sometimes interrupted either by Zaur's jealousy, but like slight jealousy in the beginning, or by the calls from Zaur's mother. But then we get to the point, like we see that the time passes, etc. The mother is still calling from time to time, and it's bothering mostly Tahmina, but Zaur as well if he finds out about it, because Tahmina is trying to hide it from him, just not to make it worse for him. Anyway, and this montage basically of them going like through time, their relationship going through time, ends on when she is talking on the phone with Mukhtar and they're about to leave somewhere, and he was getting very impatient. He was asking like, what can you talk about for so long? Are you not talking enough at your job with him that you have to talk at him to him on the phone? He was getting like extremely jealous, and it seemed like all of those rumors or whatever people were talking about Tahmina was getting to him, was getting into his head.
Yeah. But at the same time, since it's like his memories, we don't even know if she spoke to Mukhtar that long. Maybe
Yeah, exactly. We're just getting his perspective. He thought that they spoke too long.
And the funniest thing I think, and like the most, like I really do not like Zaur as a character. Like I really did not like him as a character, but at the same time, like I think the moment when I realized that I really do not like him was when he didn't protect her, defend her in any way when her mother was abusing her with the phone.
Yeah. And first time it happens, he listens to it, to what his mother says, and then he just like drops off the call.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything to his mother on the phone when he could.
Yeah.
And it just it's kind of bizarre at the moment that he does it, but what comes after? What is there before that scene specifically?
It's just happy memories, and she tells him she cannot have kids.
Yeah. And again, she talks about losing him. I was I was trying to write down anytime she was talking about losing Zaur, but then I just lost count and I stopped writing it down because she talks about it quite a lot. She starts talking about how she wants a traditional, like, mm, but not even talking about, like, dreaming about how she would like a traditional wedding. And she starts talking about Firangiz, that at least he's gonna have the traditional wedding.
Yeah, and he would get angry at her. However, she was the one who was right, basically.
Yeah, and the mother was, oh, by the way, when the mother was calling and not only bad mouthing Tahmina on the phone, she was constantly saying, "Let my son come home, like let him go. Did you not get enough of him? Can just let him go?" She's like, again, the mother is still convinced that the Jadu thing is at play here, and she's talking about Zaur like it's her property.
and like her son can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Also, I remember after the scenes, he had to go and he had to speak with his boss again, with the boss's office again, because he calls him. And then again they make the the picture of the poet very clear.
But it's another poet. It's at this time, it's on the right of the screen, and it's Samad Wargun in this time, in this conversation. It's like 2 seconds. He was more dramatist.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, before that, it was satire,
Mm-hmm.
but this one was like a lot of drama.
Which is at the same time when their relationship gets into
Yeah, when the actual conflict is like starting.
and he meets his boss, and he's telling him, Tahmin is aware of it. Everything has an ending. And I wrote this down because I think this symbolizes how Azerbaijanis look at relationship very clearly, even now.
Mm-hmm.
Her sevgi kurtarır ve kişinin kadını ihtirastan başka bir şey bağlanmırsa, yani aile uşaq bağı yoksa bu bu işkence olar. İndi ayrılsanız ömrünüzde bu günləri xoş xatirə olaraq hatırlayacaksınız. Which means everything has an ending, every love ends. And if there's nothing more than a passion that makes the man and woman be together, for example, a family, child, if they do not have any of it, then this relationship turns into a torture.
Yeah.
If you break up now, you will remember these days as happy memories.
I wasn't shocked, but it wasn't nice how he was talking about it so nonchalantly, like it's normal.
Yeah, because
He
it,
didn't really care about his feelings. It feels like he was also saying that because his parents, basically Zaur's parents, contacted him because the father got sick, etc. But whenever all these conversations, this entire discussion of their relationship was going like without thinking what Tahmina is going to go through.
no one cares what's gonna happen to her.
Yeah. And then he goes back home. And there is one moment that we didn't discuss, by the way, before all of this is happening, before like him thinking over the relationship and stuff, before him talking to the boss, actually. It's Tahmina's birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and he sets up like a table for them
Mm-hmm.
and waits for her to come back. She comes back, she's already in a bad mood and kind of distressed, and Zaur dresses up as the devil, and he comes out to like surprise slash scare her a bit, but like he didn't supposedly mean anything bad by it. But because she was already distressed, she starts crying because she is already in a shitty situation, and it just got worse, and she starts like very emotionally telling him to go home
Yeah.
because his mother is not did not stop calling her at all, and she keeps bad mouthing her everywhere. It doesn't matter like time of the day or the place, if she's at work or at home.
Yeah.
And she's tired, and she was saying that just leave home so this torture stops for me as well. and he tried to calm her down. That was right before Tahmina came back. Mukhtar, if you remember, called Zaur
Mm-hmm.
because he wanted to talk to him, and Zaur said maybe tomorrow. But the next day, he talked to his boss, and both of them wanted to talk to him for the same reasons, because the parents were pestering everyone around them to talk to Zaur. So it was Mukhtar, it was Zaur's boss, it was even Madina, Tahmina's neighbor,
Yeah. And
and she badmouthed her as well for being a single mother.
when Tahmina mentions the fact that his mom called Medina, something happens. She says that
Yes,
Medina insulted his mother back, and he gets so angry and he gets so protective over his mother, but he was never this protective over Tahmina.
exactly, which is the most annoying part. His mother is very abusive, very psychologically abusive towards Tahmina mostly, but she was extremely like abusive. She was harassing Medina over the phone basically, and Medina had every right to defend herself and reply whatever she likes, because both of them are, um, let's say, women of age,
Yeah.
and Zaur's mother cannot like say shit and expect nothing in return just because she's older. That doesn't work like that. You cannot be a shitty person just because you're older than someone. But the thing is, uh Zaur, I don't know, it might be like his instinct to defend his mother. Um, like everyone has that instinct, but his mother was clearly abusive towards Tahmina. He didn't have like this same instinct towards Tahmina, the immediate action kind of thing whenever his mother was abusing her. And he called both Tahmina and Medina. Basically, he replied to what Tahmina was saying, that your mother called her a whore. Um, and she called Medina the pimp and Tahmina the whore.
Yeah.
And to which Zaur, kind of defending his mother, he says, well, maybe you are her whore and she's a pimp.
Yeah, and I remember Tahmina gets very sad. And
Yeah,
then
and he
like,
slaps her in the face.
but before he slaps her, she says to him, "Thank you, Dosan," which I want to go back to the scene
Oh yeah, that was a nice scene.
where he gives his watch, as if like, I'm a man, I have my pride, man kimseden borç pul alan değilim, that sort of a stereotype, and he gets so angry and he slaps her.
Yeah. He slaps her just because she said that you're not a man. But the thing is, she said a nice line. The line was like, a man is not someone who turns an angel into a prostitute. The man is someone who turns a prostitute into an angel. Like, the man is someone who doesn't really care about what people say and is gonna do what's better for his woman by himself. He's not gonna like take anything into account what's happening around, right? And that's the moment that it emotionally hit him, when she just outright told him about his manlyhood. That is kind of toxic masculinity, though, that he felt that he needed to slap her in the face for that.
Yeah, it was, but like it sums up the Azerbaijani society, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the honor, the, I don't know what
Pride.
people say. Yeah, pride, definitely.
And um uh after that he goes back home, if I remember, and they basically break up, and she calls him and she opens the music, Küçelere su serpmişim.
Hmm. In
And
the middle of the night as well.
yeah, as if, and like I remember Medina calling him as well, being like, she's very bad, please come. And then his dad giving him more gifts, if I remember correctly, because he came back home.
Yeah, he gave him a car,
Yeah.
which is like conditioning someone to be like, if you listen to me, you will get nice stuff. Please listen to me. This is like, um, how do you say pashret? He encourages submission, basically. His father encourages Dawood's submission to his will.
Mm.
Like, he came back. He also then, after that, he said that he thought about getting together with Firengis. Like his parents want that, and they were really happy, and he gets a car
Yeah.
because he's a nice boy. It seems like he's a pet of his own parents, but like whatever.
And then they go to a honeymoon to
To
Istanbul.
Istanbul, and that's basically where the movie started, kind of for us.
Yeah, and then there's no more flashbacks, and then you see them in the plane, and he's again thinking about Tahmina, and he's like, I should go and at least say hi to her. Just
Yeah, and he says that we don't have to be like together. We can just like meet up sometimes. Who said that we have to be together? Yeah, and he's like trying to convince himself that it's okay to meet up with her, basically. Even if he's married, doesn't mean that they're gonna be together, something like that.
but I think with meeting he means us having sex.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But like it's kind of he basically says that he's not gonna be involved with her. He's not attracted to her in terms of having a relationship, living with her, blah blah blah. It's just basically like momentarily meeting her sometimes, and that's it. And he's still gonna be married to, like, he's not gonna give in to Tahmina's charms. If you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think he also thinks that, because Tahmina has a bad reputation, it's normal for me to do that. She's a bad
Yeah,
girl. That's what she wants.
and it seems like even before, if it seemed like Zaur was more or less going against Mentalitet, this was the moment when he was like, yeah, fine, he's part of it now.
Yeah, he turned into it. And
Hmm.
it is still like in Azerbaijan, majority of married men, I can say like majority of married men do cheat.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's seen as so normal because he needs his need to get boring in bed, or I think in the worst case it was because mentalitet didn't let him be together with the person he loves.
So he just decided to accept Mentalitet and
Yeah, and sneakily,
live with it.
and I think there are some real life situations like that in Baku.
Definitely. It is kind of, I don't know, the blueprint for a lot of situations. At least the cheating part is like spot on. A lot of people cheat. Um, at least in Baku that I know of. From here and there, not personally. Anyway, so I'm not outing anyone, just just in case someone decides to like comment that. But the blueprint of people not, the parents basically not letting the son or the daughter to marry someone they actually want or like or love, and doing arranged marriages because nobody's going to talk about bad about this person that we chose for you. This person is more um uygun, up to standards of the parents. Basically the parents are choosing what they want, and in a lot of cases they just don't even think about the wishes of the child. So yeah, a lot of cases like that where people just have to accept, not have to, but they just accept mentalitet because they can't get out of it, it seems.
And the, and like him coming back, and the person who's taking him back home is Spartak,
Yeah.
wife's brother, who also I remember before he even he accepted the fact that he's going to marry his neighbor. He kind of wants to trace back Tahmina, and he goes to the beach where they used to go.
Yes, yes.
Then he sees Spartak's car in his dacha in his summer house, and he gets so jealous, and he thinks it's Tahmina. He never saw Tahmina in there, but in his mind he's like, oh, I knew she was there, it's over for sure.
Yeah, he was chasing the car. He couldn't chase it down because the basically the train cut him off from Spartak's car, and he thinks he saw someone. At first he's like, if it's actually her, then it's over. It hasn't been even like 10 days after we broke up, blah blah blah. Then he couldn't catch up to the car, right? But then he decides for himself that it was definitely Tahmina, even though he didn't get any proof, any confirmation. And that was the moment when he said yes to marrying Fira, basically out of spite, without asking Tahmina what was actually like, was it true, did it happen, etc.
Yeah. And the moment like he comes back, and I just want to go back to the last scene now, because like I don't think there's much we can say about the scene that was before, because I think the ending was the most like, you know, the part where you go, oh,
You know, another thing that I want to add is that he was so angry at Tahmina for thinking that she cheated on him. Like we never get actual confirmation that she did. But apart from the fact that he never clarified it or never tried to have a talk, he was never angry with Spartak.
nope, because he's a man.
Yeah, and he had nothing to say to him, nothing against him. Like, if it's the woman that you love and it's your woman, supposedly, like you live together, as in you're in a relationship, don't you want, or you were in a relationship recently, wouldn't you want to talk to the guy that you think is hitting on her or you think is going after her? And be like, we're supposedly like acquaintances or friends. It seems like they're supposed to be friends because they're neighbors.
Yeah.
Could you like not please have some respect or whatever for my feelings?
Yeah, definitely.
He didn't even try to tell anything to Spartak, or as we saw, Zaur is okay with expressing his feelings to Tahmina when he was slapping her. He didn't do anything to Spartak.
Nope, nothing, because he can do whatever he wants, but Tahmina can't. Tahmina is his possession.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Spartak is the one who, like, do you remember the ending clearly?
Yes.
Do you want to describe it?
So basically, Zaur and Ferengis come back from the honeymoon trip to Istanbul, and they basically got back to their flat or whatever, and they're unloading their suitcases. The mothers are there as well. I think they met them in the airport or whatever, and they're talking again. The mothers chit chat is just frustrating, so I try not to remember it. But basically, the women leave and the men are unloading the trunk,
Yeah.
and Spartak announces that Tahmina died very unexpectedly. He said that she basically melted away in 10 days.
Yeah, during his honeymoon.
Yeah, basically. So that broke her. His marriage literally broke her. And he knew that she was drinking because Madina told him that before when she asked him to come.
And she shouldn't drink because she has a disease in her kidneys, right?
Yeah, she had like a problem. In the end, she died from cirrhosis, from liver problems. Like she had all the problems that you could relate to alcohol, basically. But she drank herself to death. At that point, most likely, she was like definitely clinically depressed.
Yeah. And he did nothing, and like even like
Yeah.
he goes, oh, and he just checks on Medine, and he's like, oh, she's gone. Tell me about her last days.
And I noticed that Madina also brings up everyone who Zaur was jealous about. She says that Mukhtar and Spartak basically helped her a lot. Mukhtar paid for the funeral expenses. Spartak was helping with the doctor and the medicine. He was bringing everything. So all these men that Zaur was extremely jealous of, that she kept telling that they were her friends, actually acted very friendly in the end. They were like helping her out a lot, and they were looking after her in her last days when Zaur was nowhere near.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it seemed like not to bother him at the like whenever Medina would bring them up, he would like switch the subject, like tell me about her last days. Did she remember me? Blah blah blah. It was like it
It's
was
like
more centered towards him.
yeah, I think he was checking if she actually loved him or not.
Yeah, and it was so ridiculous. Like she's already dead. The guys that you were trying to get to push out of her life were actually helpful. You weren't there.
Yeah.
And
Just
then he moves on. The sad thing is that she saved the uh what's the name of it? The penalty ticket from the officer from back in Leningrad when he jumped in front of the in front of the car. And when they got it, she asked him not to throw it away because it will be the receipt of the great times, basically.
Yeah.
And she didn't throw it away. She kept it like up until her last breath, and she asked Medina to give it to him. And he takes it. But then in his last scene when he leaves work, you know how he doesn't play backgammon with the old dude, and then he gets in the car, he picks out like a piece of paper out of his chest pocket, and I expected it to be the penalty ticket that he still, oh wow, he wears it close to his heart, okay, at least that. But it wasn't even that, it was a groceries list.
It just shows how much he doesn't care.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating. Like, she died for nothing, for the guy who didn't really, in the end, who couldn't stand up to the public opinion and decided to just not give a shit, like a switch off.
Yeah. It's just I don't even know what else to say because you described everything and like my opinion as well on it. It's just so frustrating because it is like that in real life in Baku, in Azerbaijan.
Yeah, and he just gets to move on and have a normal life when his entire family didn't let her have a normal life. Guys have the privilege, at least boys, most of the boys, let's say, not, I'm not generalizing, but most of the boys have the privilege of just letting into the mentalitet and living by it because it doesn't really hurt them that much. It mostly hurts women, it mostly hurts the LGBTQ plus community here, but it doesn't hurt the cis straight male. And he can choose to live by mentalitet, and he can have like a nice I don't know, proper wife, like they like to describe it, and whatever on the side. Nobody's gonna say anything to him, but the woman has to be pure
Do you
with
know?
no rumors going on around her.
Do you know what I just realized?
What?
They specifically made Zaur's family like around professors and everything to show that they're not ignorant, but that's just how
Yes,
it is in Azerbaijan.
definitely. Because in the beginning they say that it's like like the intelligentsia, a very intelligent family,
Yeah.
supposedly, and they're just like that.
Oh God, makes me so depressed to be honest at this point. Because like the movie is old, I get it, but there's no progress made. Like there isn't a progress made that we can say, oh, we have evolved from this. No, the conversations that you hear in Tahmina and Zaur, the incidents you see in Tahmina and Zaur are real. Like I can just think about it and give real life examples.
Yeah, they can be applied to general public to this day. That's the sad part.
I mean, I don't. Sir, Azerbaijan is just like this is like the fact that we go and say, oh no, I wore a skirt yesterday, no one said a thing, or we can hold hands in the street. Yes, like I don't even see a point of celebrating that because we're in 2021.
Yeah, like it's a bit late. It, like, we're happy that it came. Don't take it the wrong way, but it came too late. Like, it was already here at some point. It just disappeared for some reason from the 90s up until recently.
Yeah. So we're coming to the end of this podcast, and we just want to round things up from the start and to the end. Thank you for listening, but I hope you guys realize the reason why we mentioned why it's an old movie, why the society was more a bit progressive back then, and you have a clear mind on how what's wrong with the society and how one movie for an hour and 30 minutes literally summarized everything that is wrong in the society and everything that is taboo. And this is just based on relationship. There's much more that is wrong
Yeah.
in society, like child marriages and so on, that we will touch up on as well in the later podcasts. But as like I cannot even have any more words to describe the movie.
Basically, what I would like to end it with is what people take out of this movie. Um, I would like everyone who is interested in the movie to actually watch it. It's really nice. Even if you listen to the whole podcast and you think you spoiled something for yourself, honestly watch it. It's a work of art, in my opinion. But the conclusions that you should have to come to are not necessarily the same as ours. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I think like the general opinion is going to be quite similar. The fact that the mentality that we have, unfortunately, can ruin lives, not only in the way that someone's life might be miserable or not pleasant, someone might be depressed, but can actually end lives as well, because it does. In this case, it was cirrhosis, but there are cases where, unfortunately, people commit suicide, people get killed for honor killings. Even though it's extremely rare, it's still like even one is too many.
Yeah, exactly.
So we really need to educate ourselves and those around us. And of course, it's harder to educate someone who's older because, first of all, they're not going to school, they're not so prone to learning something. But movies like this are great for starting a conversation and for education in these topics, because it's presented in a very nice way. But again, it really depends on you, what opinion you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, definitely watch it. We will make more movie reviews like this. We thank you for everyone who replied to our question on Instagram. I took a screenshot of it, and we will watch them as well and let you know what we think.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you had liked the episode.
Thank you.
Görüştük ne çetin, ayrıldık ne asan. Hardasın hayatım, var mısın yok musun? Mən səni gizlədim, günah tək gizlədim. Hər səhər, hər axşam, hər gündüz, hər gecə gözlədim.